This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
An exultant President Trump declares peace in the Middle East as Israelis welcome home hostages held for 2 years by Hamas. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
A lingering government shutdown with another vote expected.
Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky says he'll visit Washington this week.
Do they want to have Tomahawks?
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A nor'easter continues bringing powerful winds, heavy rains, and coastal flooding along the East Coast. I'm Julie Walker.
Stocks clawed back about half their Friday losses yesterday. It was a relief rally, and earnings season starts this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
There's now a new round of layoffs at the Education Department. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
All ahead on America in the Morning. President Trump spent yesterday in Israel and Egypt praising the ceasefire and peace deal during a global summit on Gaza's future as Israel welcomed home hostages held by Hamas for the last 2 years. John Stolnis has more from Washington.
Anasi Donald J. Trump.
The Israeli Knesset welcomed Donald Trump as a hero ahead of remarks by the president, hailing what he believes to be a new future for the Middle East.
For 3,000 years, there's been conflict. For whatever reason, there's been tremendous conflict, always conflict. But today, for the first time anyone can remember, we have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to put the old feuds and bitter hatreds behind us.
The president urging Palestinians to abandon their support of Hamas and embrace Israel as a partner in a region full of opportunity.
After tremendous pain and death and hardship, now is the time to concentrate on building their people up instead of trying to tear Israel down. We don't want that to happen again.
And Trump told Israel it's time to stop fighting.
You've won. Now it's time to translate these victories against terrorists on the battlefield into the ultimate prize of peace and prosperity for the entire Middle East. It's about time you were able to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with the highest praise for Trump as he introduced the president.
Donald Trump is the greatest friend that the state of Israel has ever had in the White House.
The 20 remaining living hostages held by Hamas were reunited with their families ahead of the president's speech. Following remarks to the Knesset, it was off to Egypt for the global summit on Gaza for the president, where nearly 36 countries were represented. Trump signing a document with the leaders of Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar that prepared the way for a future in Gaza.
Together we've achieved what everybody said was impossible. At long last, we have peace in the Middle East.
Netanyahu was invited to the meeting in Egypt, but declined, saying it was too close to a Jewish holiday. Hamas was not invited. While the president indicated there was now peace in the Middle East, many difficult steps lie ahead before that's true, including the future of Hamas in Gaza and Israel's long-term presence there. John Stolnis, Washington.
The Senate returns to Capitol Hill as the government shutdown enters its 14th day. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports the congressional blame game continues as many workers won't be receiving their paychecks tomorrow.
The Senate expected to vote again on a House-passed measure to fund the federal government, which would end the government shutdown if passed. But that's not likely. The measure has come up shy of the necessary 60-vote threshold 7 times. Republicans blaming Democrats directly for the shutdown.
And our hope is that Democrats will soon recognize the importance of opening the government.
That's Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in a new video that's meant to be played at American airports and clearly points to Democrats.
It is TSA's top priority to make sure that you have the most pleasant and efficient airport experience as possible while we keep you safe. However, Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government. And because of this, many of our operations are impacted, and most of our TSA employees are working without pay.
Some airports are opting not to broadcast that message, to include Oregon's Portland International, Washington's Seattle Tacoma, and Niagara Falls International Airport. Also, Buffalo Niagara International and Westchester County Airport in New York. Those airports reportedly call the message political and inappropriate. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill,
this marks the third week that Democrats have blocked paychecks to our troops. They blocked pay for 2.2 million federal workers, and they held critical services that the American people rely upon in limbo.
House Speaker Mike Johnson said Democrats tried to block those checks, but
President Trump, again showing strong leadership, has stepped up to ensure that our troops are going to be paid on October 15th.
Secretary Noem took similar measures to ensure that Coast Guard members are paid. Democrats are insisting that Republicans won't come to the table to negotiate, and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says he won't accept the current GOP plan for health care.
John Thune's strategy is to continue to do the same partisan thing over and over and over again and expect different results. That's legislative insanity.
Impacts of the shutdown are becoming more evident by the day. Airport delays are starting to grow nationwide, and while some paychecks are covered by the administration, tomorrow, the 15th, is payday for some who won't get a check until the government reopens. I'm Clayton Neville.
President Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky to discuss Tomahawk missiles when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. At the national map, AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Benz has a wet weather Tuesday in store for portions of California.
The first major storm of the fall season is rolling into California today and will bring the threat for not only rain, but heavy rain to portions of Southern California, including Los Angeles, as well as San Diego. On top of that, there could be thunderstorms that could contain small hail and gusty winds as well. There will also be snow with this system in the Sierra Nevada. Look for snow levels to fall as low as 5,000 feet, with impacts to places like Donner Pass, where Interstate 80 crosses over, and there could be some travel concerns throughout the day in that direction. Watch for showers and thunderstorms as well with the monsoon across New Mexico and western Colorado, though this will be the last of the monsoon of the season as this new storm moves in from California. It will put an end to that monsoonal flow for the desert Southwest. Showers will break out across the central and northern plains as well as the upper Midwest as a separate area of low pressure crosses over the region. This will continue to move towards the east for the overnight, and what is left of the nor'easter still lingering across the East Coast with some leftover rain and showers, mainly along the I-95 corridor from Philadelphia towards Boston, and still breezy for many locations, at least through the first half of the day. But as the storm slowly begins to fill and push towards the east, we'll see quieter conditions by the end of the day with even some sun breaking out for the region. High pressure will bring dry conditions across the eastern Great Lakes, Ohio, and Tennessee river valleys, as well as much of the southern and southeastern U.S. There are no imminent threats from the tropics for the coastal U.S. through much of the upcoming week. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Benz.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The White House has announced a meeting set for Friday between President Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports that Tomahawk missiles will be a serious part of the discussion between the president and Ukraine's leader.
Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky says he'll visit Washington this week for talks on the U.S. potentially providing his military long-range weapons. Zelensky says he may meet with President Trump as soon as Friday.
The main topics are air defense and our possibilities with long-range to pressure on Russia.
His remarks during a meeting with the European Union's foreign affairs chief came after what Zelensky said was a very productive call with President Trump Sunday. The president later told reporters on Air Force One he may send Kyiv long-range Tomahawk missiles if Russia does not settle the war soon.
Do they want to have Tomahawks going in that direction?
Tomahawks would let Ukraine strike deeper into Russian territory. Vladimir Putin has said supplying them to Ukraine would seriously damage U.S.-Russian relations. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Flooding, power outages, and so far at least one person killed as a powerful nor'easter has carved a path from the Carolinas to Massachusetts. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
A nor'easter continues bringing powerful winds, heavy rains, and coastal flooding along the East Coast.
We have had wind gusts as high as 60, 62 miles an hour along the New Jersey coast, some low to mid 60s along the North Carolina coast. So we Delaware as high as 57 miles an hour. So there have been wind gusts, between 55 and 65 along coastal areas.
In New York City, a 76-year-old woman was killed when a solar panel flew off a building and hit her Sunday. According to officials, high winds were to blame. In Massachusetts, a small plane crashed on a highway, killing 2 aboard and wounding 1 on the ground. Officials investigating if weather played a factor. Meanwhile, the nor'easter causing massive flight delays, cancellations, and coastal flooding. National Weather Service forecaster Mark Chenard.
This is a storm that really the higher impacts are right along the coast just because it's the coastal flooding that's driving the biggest impact and the strongest winds right along the coast.
He says wind gusts will continue to be strong like Sunday.
So there have been wind gusts, between 55 and 65 along coastal areas.
I'm Julie Walker.
When we return on America in the Morning, major corporations' earnings reports due after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Let's jump into Tuesday business. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after yesterday's relief rally for stocks. Following the plunge the markets took last Friday, investors were relieved that President Trump walked back some aggressive trade rhetoric on China. The Dow was up nearly 600 points yesterday. The S&P 500 added 100.
We went 33 trading days in a row without a 1% move, either up or down. That was the longest streak since before COVID. So to say we were due is probably an understatement. I guess I'll say we've been spoiled with this rally. Maybe some October spookiness and volatility is perfectly normal.
That's the Carson Group's Ryan Dietrich on CNBC. Gold with yet another record high yesterday, $4,121 an ounce. Silver had a fresh record high for the first time in a long time.
Silver passing the $50 mark for the first time, joining gold on its record run in 2025. Both have benefited from a rush to safe haven assets this year, and analysts say there's plenty more room to run. Gold and silver supplier Solomon Global saying that not only is a bull run sustainable, but silver could, get this, double to $100 by the end of next year.
CNBC's Brian Sullivan. Earnings season begins this morning. Quarterly results are coming from the big banks.
This is the period that defines most stocks, the earnings season. Tuesday's a big day for earnings. We have BlackRock, Wells Fargo, and Goldman Sachs. All three have had a good run for the year, and they aren't exactly in the crosshairs of the trade wars. I think Goldman Sachs is liable to have the biggest upside surprise. Not to be outdone, J.P. Morgan reports too. We get results from Citigroup as well, and I got to tell you, close observers think that bank run by the affable, cerebral Jane Fraser will put up the best numbers of all.
CNBC Mad Money host Jim Cramer. Domino's Pizza, not a bank, but it reports quarterly results this morning.
The company's been emphasizing value on what its CEO Russell Weiner is calling the center of the plate, or the thing that customers actually want, which is, of course, the pizza. The stock is down around 2% on the year, while its competitor Papa John's one of the few positive names for the year. McDonald's, along with Yum Brands and Restaurant Brands International, Burger King's parent company, also positive performers on the year.
CNBC's Kate Rogers. The government says even if there is a shutdown, still, next week, the Bureau of Labor Statistics will announce the new Social Security cost of living adjustment for next year. The COLA will come a week from Friday. It's widely expected to be around a 2.8% increase in those Social Security checks as inflation, which it's based on, has climbed. The Mega Millions jackpot for tonight, well more than $500 million at $600 million.
Wow. All right. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, federal staffing cuts at the Department of Education after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Airport delays are worsening due to the government shutdown along with bad weather. In the east, a number of airports showed major delays to a passing nor'easter, but the government shutdown is now impacting airport staffing. On Monday, a ground delay affected flights at Austin Bergstrom International Airport in Texas. More than 100 flights were either delayed or canceled in San Diego. And since October 6th, Charlotte Douglas International Airport has recorded more than 1,850 delays. According to FlightAware, nearly 7,500 flights in the U.S. were delayed on Monday, with 997 canceled flights, the most in one day since the shutdown began. Shifting gears, as a number of recently furloughed staffers are returning back to work at the CDC, there are now more federal staffing cuts at the Department of Education. Lisa Dwyer reports.
There's now a new round of layoffs at the Education Department, which will affect special education programs, civil rights enforcement, and after-school programs. The layoffs started Friday amid mass firings across the government, meant to pressure Democratic lawmakers over the federal shutdown. The cuts are also part of President Donald Trump's broader plan to shut down the Education Department and parcel its operations to other agencies. Over the summer, the department started handing off its adult education and workforce programs to the Department of Labor, and negotiations are underway to pass its $1.6 trillion student loan portfolio to the Treasury Department. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
President Trump has called for a new era of Middle East harmony. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Several people in Alaska missing following floods from a typhoon. North Carolina's redistricting plans. Arrest following a weekend mass shooting in Mississippi. A pitcher speaks out about fan behavior towards his family. And more broken records for Taylor Swift.
A suspect in custody after 3 staff members were stabbed at a private school in California. I'm Clayton Neville.
Today is the last day for Windows 10 support. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
Trump administration officials are learning to roll with the punches from comedians on TV. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. America in the Morning continues with AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Benz.
The first nor'easter of the season slowly winding down. This area of low pressure, which has impacted the East Coast now for the last couple of days, will finally move eastward for today with some leftover rain mainly along and east of the I-95 corridor from Philadelphia towards Boston, and still breezy for a time through at least the midday, though the wind and rain will end by the afternoon as this storm slowly heads out to sea. High pressure will bring pleasant conditions for much of the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys, along with the eastern Great Lakes and much of the southeast U.S. as well, with some sunshine through much of the day. As you progress farther to the west, some showers will break out with a new area of low pressure crossing the northern Great Plains. This will bring some showers to the area, especially across the upper Midwest northern plains, across the central plains. This system will shift east with time. Then for tonight, what is left of the monsoon season is slowly coming to an end for the desert Southwest. Still, some showers and thunderstorms will pop up here for today across New Mexico and western Colorado, but that is it, as a new large area of low pressure is set to move into the desert Southwest over the coming days. That actual area of low pressure will make landfall today in Southern California, bringing heavy rain and possible thunderstorms to Southern California, including places like Los Angeles as well as San Diego. This can bring the threat for flooding, rain, hail, and even some gusty winds. And that's the weather across America. In New York, there will be some lingering rain and drizzle to start the day, but perhaps some late-day sun returning, high of 63. In Los Angeles, active with showers and thunderstorms throughout the day, some of which can be heavy, bringing the threat for hail and gusty winds to the area, high of 65. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Benz.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. It was an historic day as President Trump spent Monday in Israel, where he addressed the Israeli parliament as hostages held by Hamas for over 2 years were finally returned. Immediately after, the president flew to neighboring Egypt, where he met with world leaders to proclaim an end to a 2-year war and peace in the region and set the stage for the future of Gaza. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
The first steps to peace are always the hardest. And today we've taken them and we've put them all together and we've come up with this beautiful mix like nobody thought was possible.
President Trump has called for a new era of Middle East harmony during a whirlwind trip to the region.
After so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity.
First in Israel, where he celebrated a U.S. brokered ceasefire with Hamas.
Israel, with our help, has won all that they can by force of arms. You've won. You've won. Now it's time to translate these victories against terrorists on the battlefield into the ultimate prize of peace and prosperity for the entire Middle East. It's about time you were able to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
And then in Egypt, the president raised hopes for Mideast peace.
It's going to happen, and it is happening. It's before your very eyes.
Telling a global summit on Gaza the future cannot be ruled by past fights.
But today, for the first time anyone can remember, we have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to put the old feuds and bitter hatreds behind us.
He urged Israel to move on from military victories and Palestinians to abandon terror.
After tremendous pain and death and hardship, now is the time to concentrate on building their people up instead of trying to tear Israel down. We don't want that to happen again.
And even told Iran the U.S. is always ready to cooperate. But despite his sense of finality about peace,
this is a monumental day.
Fundamental questions remain about how and if Hamas will disarm and who will govern Gaza.
It's peace in the Middle East that everybody said it's not possible to do. And it's going to happen. And it is happening. It's before your very eyes.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Severe weather on each side of the nation. A nor'easter has left behind flooding and damage along the East Coast from the Carolinas to New England. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, dozens are being rescued in Alaskan towns along the Bering Sea as the remnants of a typhoon struck. Details from correspondent Julie Walker.
Authorities in western Alaska say more than 30 people were rescued, and the search continues for others after the remnants of Typhoon Halong brought hurricane-force winds and flooding strong enough to sweep away homes in coastal communities.
My daughter woke me up at 7. She goes, "Mom, look out your window. Look at that house outside." So we got up and looked, and it was all back flipped over. So it had to be between 6:30 and 7 when the winds were at the highest. I believe people were saying they were between 70 and 90 miles per hour.
Meteorologist Carson Jones with the National Weather Service in Alaska.
We had wind gusts of 100 miles an hour, 75 to 100 miles an hour were measured at multiple sites, including communities of Tooksuk Bay, St. Paul, Chivak, and some others along the coast there.
And he says storm surge was historic.
For the community of Kipnuk, we had 6.6 feet above the normal highest tide line. This surpasses a previous record of 4.7.
He says Quigillenguac, where officials had to rescue more than a dozen people, also had major storm surge.
6.3 feet above mean high water, and that was likely also a record.
The area is among one of the most isolated in the U.S.
Our family is safe and accounted for. We just experienced very high wind and rising water. No damage to property.
I'm Julie Walker.
The North Carolina GOP are planning to hold votes as soon as next week in an attempt to redraw their congressional maps following the lead of other states, including Missouri and Texas. Correspondent Joan Jones reports.
North
North Carolina is represented by 14 members in the U.S. House. 10 are Republicans and 4 are Democrats. But its leaders in the state legislature plan to return to Raleigh next week to draw new lines that could favor more GOP candidates. And they've got their eye on the only House seat considered competitive, and it's currently held by a Democrat. Now, President Trump has won North Carolina's electoral votes all 3 times that he's been on the presidential ballot, but State House Democratic leader Robert Reeves on Monday said his GOP colleagues are, quote, stealing a congressional district. It is up to state lawmakers to determine the voting rights in North Carolina. Republicans control both chambers. It enables Republican leaders to draw voting maps that heavily favor their party. By the way, they're not alone. The Missouri legislature also passing a new congressional map last month. It targets a Democratic congressman in Kansas City. In Ohio, Republicans refuse to engage with Democrats in their bipartisan redistricting commission's process, and that will likely result in a new map with lines even more favorable to the GOP. Lawmakers in other states, too, including Indiana, Kansas, Florida, and Maryland, are also weighing mid-decade redistricting efforts. I'm Joan Jones.
Americans' thoughts on immigration. A new poll. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Three people have been arrested on murder charges, a fourth person on an attempted murder charge in a weekend shooting that left 6 dead and more than a dozen injured in a small Mississippi town. The FBI is reporting that 3 men, all under 30 years of age, have been charged with capital murder, while a 44-year-old woman faces attempted murder charges. The shooting, which came as people celebrated homecoming weekend in the town of Leland shortly after a high school football game, was the deadliest of several shootings across Mississippi over the weekend. Other shootings were reported at 2 Mississippi universities on Saturday as those schools celebrated their homecoming weekends. America in the Morning continues. Police in California have a suspect in custody following a stabbing at a Golden State private school and reports of a bomb threat. Correspondent Clayton Neville has the story.
Authorities say that a former student of Switzer Learning Center is behind bars for allegedly stabbing 3 staff members of the school and trying to stab a 4th person. The suspect also said to have made a bomb threat. The LA County Sheriff's Bomb Squad was called to the special education K-12 school. Police said that the former student entered the campus, allegedly stabbed the staff members, and then left the scene before eventually being found and arrested. 2 of the victims were taken to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A third was treated at the school. According to the Torrance Police Department, the suspect claimed to have put 2 pipe bombs near a busy intersection, but no explosives were found. I'm Clayton Neville.
A new poll takes a look at immigration in America, questioning both legal and illegal entries. Correspondent Jennifer King has the results.
About 60% of Americans think immigrants who come to the U.S. by legal methods are a major benefit to the economy. 51% think they help American companies that need skilled workers. That's according to a poll by the Associated Press Nork Center for Public Affairs Research. Those percentages have grown from a similar poll last March, conducted before the Trump administration imposed new restrictions on legal pathways into the country. It's not just the economy. 46% of respondents say a major benefit of legal immigrants is that they enrich American culture and values. That's up from 38% in the previous poll. Less favorable opinions about illegal immigration remain largely unchanged. Americans were divided on the future, with 1 in 4 saying the number of legal immigrants should be reduced, 1 in 3 saying it should be increased, and less than half saying it should stay the same. One standout in the poll, Republicans are now notably less likely to say legal immigration should be reduced than they were earlier this year. Jennifer King, Washington.
A rising star pitcher during baseball's postseason has decided to come forward after his family has been subjected to taunts and abuse, fearing for their safety. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Trey Savage says his family has faced abuse since his impressive postseason debut against the New York Yankees. He spoke out before the AL Championship Series opener against Seattle.
It's sad to see that people close to me are being attacked for my performances on the field.
Savage, who is set to start Game 2 on Monday, declined to answer follow-up questions.
Whether that's my parents, my brothers, my girlfriend, family, it's just really sad.
Blue Jays manager John Schneider commended him for addressing the issue.
I give him a ton of credit, for a guy that is 22 and just arrived in the big leagues and understands that he has a really, really good support system.
Savage set a Blue Jays postseason record by striking out 11 Yankees in 5 1/3 hitless innings in the AL Division Series. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Many of us still have Windows 10 on our computers, but support for the operating system officially ends today. So what do you do? Chuck Palm has the answer in today's Tech Report.
Today is the big day. Microsoft is pulling support for Windows 10. If you don't upgrade to Windows 11, it's you against the wild internet with no patches, security updates, or compatibility fixes. But what happens if you don't want Windows 11? You'll be missing out on beefed up security like Smart App Control, which only lets trusted apps run, enhanced Snap Assist to keep your workflow as smooth as possible, and a Windows backup that lets you restore files and settings on the new Windows 11 device. If you're not ready to upgrade, Microsoft has extended security updates for $30 for an additional year. But this will only cover security updates, not new features or tech support. Microsoft recommends you back up your files to OneDrive or another cloud service before you do any upgrades to your PC. Pro tip, if you run specialized apps or have an older PC, check first to see if your PC is upgradable to the new Windows 11. For more, find me at chuckpalm.com.
Results of Monday Night Football and more in sports. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
Baseball League Championship Series ALCS Game 2. The Mariners blasted the Blue Jays 10-3 to take both games in Toronto. Julio Rodriguez with a 3-run homer in the first inning.
It's very exciting, but we still got 2 wins. We still got to go back home now and lock in for Game 3.
Jorge Polanco added a 3-run shot in the 5th, and Josh Naylor a 2-run tater in the 7th, while the bullpen put up 6 scoreless innings. The series moves to Seattle tomorrow for Games 3, 4, and maybe 5. Game 1 of the NLCS, the defending World Series champion Dodgers shaded the Brewers 2-1. Blake Snell, 8 scoreless innings of 1 hit ball with 10 strikeouts.
I feel like the whole postseason, I've been pretty locked in, pretty consistent. So different outings, but yeah, it was just, 8 innings, went deeper, but last 3 it felt really good.
But his bullpen gave him the vapors. Roki Sasaki, who had allowed just 1 base runner in 4 postseason games, gave up 2 walks and a double to make it a 1-run game in the 9th. And Blake Trinan walked a man to load the bases before striking out Bryce Terang to end it. Game 2 in Milwaukee tonight. NFL Week 6 wrapped up with 2 games last night. The Falcons barreled over the Bills 24-14. Bijan Robinson with an 81-yard TD scamper, while the Bears clipped the Commanders 25-24. Jaden Daniels fired 3 touchdown passes for D.C., but fumbled with 3 minutes left, just enough time for Chicago to set up Jake Moody for a last-second field goal. Hockey, the Avalanche blunted the Sabres. Colorado with the best record on the young season in the NHL, while Buffalo is winless in 3 tries. Jets over the Islanders, New York 0-3 as well. Flyers flew past the Panthers. That's Florida's first L as they go for a Stanley Cup three-peat. Lightning handed the Bruins their first loss of the year. That's Tuesday Sports.
Pam Bondi lampooned on Saturday Night Live. What the AG says. What the AG says now when America in the Morning continues after these messages. The latest lampoon on Saturday Night Live spoofed the recent congressional hearing with Attorney General Pam Bondi, played by SNL alum Amy Poehler. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr says that the AG took to social media with her surprising response.
On this weekend's episode of Saturday Night Live, Amy Poehler played U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi in a satire of her contentious appearance in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
My name is Pam Bondi. I spell it with an I, because I ain't gonna answer any of your questions.
The sketch lampooned Bondi's combative approach and refusal to answer direct questions.
Before I don't answer, I'd like to insult you personally.
Later in the sketch, SNL alum Tina Fey appeared as Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem.
And I'm the rarest type of person in Washington, D.C., a brunette that Donald Trump listens to.
In character, Fey delivered a fake recruitment message for ICE.
Do you need a job now?
Yeah.
Are you a big tough guy?
Yeah.
Tough enough for the Army or police?
No.
Then buckle up and slap on some Oakley's, big boy. Welcome to ICE.
When television comedians have targeted this administration, the subjects have often pushed back publicly. However, it appears Bondi enjoyed the sketch. She posted a screenshot on X and tagged Noem saying, quote, loving Amy Poehler. Noem has been ridiculed on TV before, specifically this summer on South Park. Then she clapped back at the parody on Glenn Beck's podcast.
It's so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how they look. If they wanted to criticize my job, go ahead and do that, but clearly they can't.
This time she posted, quote, thanks for the free advertisement on X, and included a real ICE recruitment video in place of Fey's fake one. I'm Kevin Carr.
It seems everything Taylor Swift does breaks a record, and the new music the singing star recently released is no exception. Lisa Dwyer has Swift's new milestone for the album Showgirl.
Taylor Swift's 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl, has officially sold just over 4 million equivalent album units.
Thank you for the lovely bouquet.
In its first week in the United States. According to Luminate, that is the biggest first week in the U.S. in modern music history.
I'm married to the hustle, and now I know the life of a showgirl.
Released on October 3rd, The Life of a Showgirl's first week pure album sales totaled almost 3,480,000 copies. Swift now also becomes the solo artist with the most #1 albums on Billboard 200, with 15 albums.
Pretty and witty.
Swift is now just behind the Beatles with their 19 #1 albums. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.